principles that govern a person's behavior or conducting of an activity. It also deals with principles of ethical behavior in the modern society at the level of the person, society, and interaction with the environment and other resources. On the other hand, what is morality? Morality is a principle concerning the distinction between right and wrong and good and bad behavior. As I discussed this topic all along, moral question is how can I myself make moral decisions using the moral frameworks and apply the moral reasoning to analyze or solve moral problems. According to Socrates, an examined life is not worth living. This means that it's all about self-examination and self-understanding. Examining life is about examining all parts of life. Anyone can examine own, for example, talking to your friends, talking often, that is examining life. So Aristotle tells us that in his view, what made human truly human being distinctive is the capacity for rational thought. Also, any creature functions and flourishes at its best when it does what is instinctive to its own nature. So, in that sense, if we are to be truly human, we have to use the active part of us, which is distinctively human, and use our rational capacities. Rules in our lives. Why do we need rules in our lives? There are many people that don't like following the rules because they represent some kind of restrictions. However, in reality, life can't be placed in order without rules. Without rules and regulations as we know them, modern civilization will definitely plunge itself into chaos. For example, if anyone could simply do what they want in a classroom, do you think that learning would take place? It is ideal environment for learning. A classroom without rules would be downright chaotic. Rules are established to protect the weaker class in the society since they are at a disadvantage if such regulations are broken. When rules are properly set and followed, they provide a stable environment and human coexistence in a community, resulting in peace and order. Rules are set accordance with the desired results. For example, regulations are used in schools in order to promote discipline and trust. In a bid to provide peaceful learning environment for students as a desired result. There are three stages of moral development. Pre-conventional, stage 1. Punishment, obedience, and orientation. Wants to avoid punishment. Stage 2. Instrumental purpose orientation to satisfy one's need and admit the needs of others for their own self-interest. 2. Conventional. Interpersonal concordance, the desire to maintain rules and authority that support your typical good behavior and living up to what significant others expect. Social culture orientation, conscience is imperative to the moral law, to the ethical system. 3. Post-conventional, social contract orientation, what is right, individual rights, and standards which have been critically examined and agreed upon. Universal ethical principle is the right that are universal principles of justice, and the reasons given are the validity of universal moral principles of justice, and the reasons given are validity of universal moral principles and the sense of personal commitment to these principles. Virtue ethics. According to James Keenan, We are not primarily interested in particular actions. We do not ask, is this action right? Virtue ethics is a fundamental moral concept that characterizes a person's readiness and ability to consciously and firmly follow good. For example, when my classmate lets me copy his or her answer, in my mind, as an honest person, I know that honesty is the best policy, or I might get caught by my teacher. If you will copy his answer, then that would be otherwise dishonest. As an honest person, I will recognize that it will be a lie if I copy his or her answer. On the other hand, most of us tell lies in order for them not to be heard. So, to make things short, it is the ability to do the right thing for certain situations and to be able to find the meaning of virtue and avoid its extremes. In order for us to live in a virtuous life, we must achieve eudaimonia, or it is the moralized concept of happiness. Kant's and right theorist. The deontology, I must do the right thing because it is the right thing to do. Kant's agenda is to demonstrate that the binding force of reason works also in a moral way. So telling a truth could be absolute validity wherever it is claimed. We must tell the truth even if it doesn't have a price in return. Utilitarianism. It is a theory on focusing on what is right and wrong by focusing on the outcomes. A form of consequentialism. It is a choice that produces the greatest good for the greatest number. However, there are consequences of our actions whether it is good or bad. For example, when you have food, instead of eating it, you give it to the street children. The street children will be full, while you, on the other hand, become hungry. Reading on justice and fairness. It has two principles, liberty principle and equality principle. Liberty principle is that every individual has an equal right to basic liberties. Certain rights and freedoms are more important than basic than others. Each person has an equal right to a fully adequate scheme of basic liberties. Equality principle, on the other hand, has two parts. Fair quality of opportunity maintains that offices and positions should be open to any individual, regardless of his social background, ethnicity, or sex. Role of justice is the first virtue of social institutions. Each person possesses an inviolability founded on justice that even the welfare of society as a whole cannot override.